welcome back. I'm Calvin StatueFanatic here with another review, and today we're going to take a look at a piece sculpted by the incredible Caleb Nefzen, put out by Figurama. This is a diorama of Devilman versus Amon, based on an anime. And let me tell you, this is one epic, amazing piece. I'm a huge fan of Caleb Nefzen, and this is another one of those pieces where he's just kind of took risk and put out a very ambitious piece. The sculpt and everything about it is just, if you will, over the top. It's kind of amazing that you can actually own something like this. And he also put out another piece called The Bat King that was just as impressive. There's a few reviews out there, and George did a great unboxing of this piece, so check that out over at MCE. I personally had never heard of Devilman versus Amon until I saw this piece, so I'm kind of going backwards. I saw Caleb's sculpt of this several years ago and thought it was just really amazing. It was digital, thought it was cool. And then I found out that they were going to actually do a statue of this, and then I got more interested in it, and I looked it up, ended up watching some of the animes from Devilman Crybaby, which I thought sucked. But I also watched the anime Devilman vs. Amon Apocalypse, which I thought was really good. It is definitely not an anime for young kids. It is violent. It is gruesome. So please be warned that kids should probably not watch this. Now, a lot of times people see statues like this and they want to know a little bit about it. So I'll tell you as much as I can convey, because this story is what I call a mind screw. I use that word and not the other one I was thinking about. So what you have basically is three characters here, not just two. The first character is Akira, which you don't see here. You have Devilman, which is the top character, and you have Amon, which is the bottom character. And the gist of the story is this. This is a story where demons walk among human beings, but they walk among human beings in the form of humans. So what happens is that everyone becomes a suspect of being a demon or a devil, kind of like the witch hunts in Salem. So brother turns against brother, neighbor turns against neighbor, they start killing each other, that type of stuff, because nobody trusts anybody, because you might be a demon in disguise. Amon, however, the bottom character, is actually he possesses a human called Akira. This human being has Amon under control for the most part, and he only shows himself to protect the human race, and he typically fights against other demons who are trying to destroy the human race. But he does have a family, an adopted family or friend, that he comes home and he finds that this family, her little brother Mika, I think, and her little brother, I don't remember his name, are both murdered. He snaps at that point. Akira loses it, and he ends up allowing this devil Amon, or this demon Amon, to take over his body, and he loses his human form. Because he's lost his mind and he's snapped, he doesn't care who he kills now. So he's no longer protecting humans, he's killing demons and humans alike, and he goes on this murderous spree. So as this is going on inside of his mind, Akira's consciousness is still in there trying to come back out. And so now what you have is these two demons basically who possess this human Akira fighting each other, and in the midst of all that, Akira's consciousness is inside of all of this, trying to come back out. Story ends where good prevails. Akira gets his body form back, gets Amon under control, defeats Devilman, and the story ends. Now that you have a little history about this character, which is probably more confusing than anything, let's talk about the statue, because I think the statue is absolutely epic. The statue stands an impressive, unbelievable 30 inches tall. It's a diorama that stands that tall. It's 30 inches tall, and it's about 20 to 23 inches both wide and in length. It is a very, very massive statue, and I personally have a very difficult time figuring out where I'm going to put the statue, but I definitely love it. There's a very limited number produced. It has a low edition size. I think it's 200. And it comes with one switch out part. But what we'll do is we'll start with the base. And I remember seeing Caleb's design of this base, and I thought it was just unbelievable. And I thought, how in the world are you going to turn that into a statue when you look at the actual 3D rendering? And I tell you what, man, they pulled it off. It is just Epic the way they pull this off. So what you have here is just for the base, just a segment of the battle, the ground that they're battling on. And it looks like, from watching the anime too, it looks like what's happened now is that there's been a huge impact. They've landed on the ground here, and this huge blast has happened from the impact of them landing, and all of this rock and everything has been displaced in this huge impact that they're having right now. And if you look around, they did a really good job. Caleb did a really good job sculpting this. There is just tons of sculpt and detail in this, different shades of paints and grays and tones like that. It just looks absolutely epic. The base itself has a couple of pieces that come off, that are magnetized, that fit on, and I can't even see which ones they are. But one of these, I think, yeah, this is one right here that comes off. But as I turn this around, you can see, and even from photos that I'll be showing the entire time, you can just see how beautifully detailed this is. It's just kind of hard to look for flaws in something like this because it's just so ambitious. Just a really dynamic, energy-filled piece that looks fantastic. As you can see, looking all around, these little skulls that are around the base, they look pretty cool. And right here, and I'll put that on a little bit later, I have the second head that comes with Devilman. Now let's talk a little bit about Amon, the big guy here on the bottom. He's absolutely massive. I mean, just massive. One of the things that's really unique about this guy is that this fur on his body, you see that in the anime as well. And the way that this is sculpted just looks absolutely phenomenal. They did a fantastic job of sculpting the fur all over him. It just flows really well, looks fantastic. And then as far as his body is concerned, the paint application on his body looks fantastic. And I know I'm talking about paint and sculpt at the same time, but it's kind of hard to separate the two. But the sculpt on his body looks fantastic. You see all the muscle striations here, the muscles that are in his stomach, and then the veins that are going all throughout his body. Looks absolutely amazing here on his forearm, biceps. All look really cool the way that this is sculpted. It just gives it such energy. You almost can see the blood pulsating through his veins the way that he is flinching and about to strike Devilman. And then here, his toenails painted really well here, very, very sharp, lots of veins. It's like he's in this incredible, stressed, flinched position, and every fiber of his being and every bit of energy in his being is being summoned to defeat Devilman. And you would think that because he's so big, he wouldn't have a hard time beating Devilman, but it's more of a psychological fight than it is a physical fight, but it's manifested in this physical energy and in this statue, the way that it is sculpted. His portrait, just menacing, absolutely just gorgeous. His teeth, everything sculpted extremely well. In fact, if you take a light and you shine it down, you can see all the way down his throat. He's got his mouth so wide open and this growl that he has. It's just fantastic. And then his ears, not ears, I don't think those are his ears, but these wings type things that are coming out of his ears. Tons of detail and sculpt in it and texturing. His eyes have this silver tint to it. He just looks very menacing, just enormously powerful. And then he even has a nipple ring that you can see right here, which is sculpted, by the way. It's not a piece of metal, it's actually sculpted. Looks phenomenal. And then as I turn him around, his back, oh my God, his back just looks like it's about to just explode with energy as well. All the muscles that are bulging. You can see these horns that are coming out of the ends of his arms there. That looks pretty cool, sculpted really well. Again, more fur, all sculpted well, looks fantastic. And the same thing with his tail. I mean, the detail on his tail is just crazy. I mean, each individual, I guess if you will, vertebrae type link in the tail just looks just stunning. It's fantastic. I could go on and on about just how cool he looks. And then when you add Devilman to this and you look at him and his just ferociousness and just, he looks like he is just the Satan himself incarnated, as far as how evil and how intense he looks on just not allowing Akira to regain his human form and get Devilman and get Amon under control. But if you look at him, I mean, the same thing. I love the color on this guy. This purple color that's on Devilman looks really awesome, the paint application there. And then all of the detail in his legs, sculpted really well, just looks fantastic. The same thing with his portrait, even down to the really, really tiny teeth, sculpted really well. The horns that are coming out of his head are sculpted really well. I really have no complaints or anything about this that makes me go, wow, well, that doesn't look good. There was one thing that I saw is when I put his head on, I can see a tiny seam where his head fits on the top of that. But the way that doesn't matter one bit, just because of the sheer epicness of this piece. Now, one of the more standout features about this, of course, is his wings, and his wings do a fantastic job of framing the entire scene that Figurama has with this diorama. It's really awesome because it draws you into the center of the action. The wings has a lot of energy, like I was saying, that Amon does in terms of the fight, but it also serves as a really good framing feature when you display this, so that it draws you into the action and draws you into what's happening here. Overall, man, this is one stunning, amazing piece, as you can see from the pictures that have been rolling and I've been showing, with all of the detail in it. You can just spend hours talking about this. Kind of reminds me of a couple of the other statues that I have. Each time you look at it, you notice some other detail about this piece that you didn't realize before. And even as I'm talking to you guys, there's areas on the base that I didn't notice that were there. There's areas about his back that I didn't notice. It's just really a really cool piece. And even his wings, I didn't even realize these bony parts that are sticking from the center of the wings. It's just each time you look at it, you see something different. And I took pictures of this, and I took pictures of his feet and all of those things, and didn't even realize just how detailed the veins and things like that were in his feet. If you're a fan of this anime, of course, this is just like a no-brainer. If you're a huge fan of it, you would pick this up, because it's not companies like Sideshow or whatever. Some of the big boys probably are not going to make some of these obscure characters, and this could be one of the few chances that you get to own something like this. And so now let's rate this statue like I do with a lot of the premium format statues that I review. With this guy, as far as the sculpt and the design is concerned, I mean, it's really hard not to give something like this a 10, because the ambitiousness is just over the top. The execution is just amazing with this. So the design and the sculpt of this, and how much it represents the battle in the anime of Devilman versus Amon, I'm going to give that a 10. And as far as the paint application is concerned, again, I have tried to find areas that just where there were flaws made, where things didn't come out too well or something, and I just can't find anything. It's just a really fantastically painted piece. When it comes to the packaging of this guy, the box, as you can see from this picture, is absolutely enormous. This is the empty box that I'm sitting on. I put it all back in the shipping case, and this is how big it is. It takes 2 people to do anything with this. It is absolutely enormous. I appreciate that it's packaged in such a way, kind of like XM, so that you don't have a broken piece. But my God, the engineering and technology today there's got to be a way to make boxes like this smaller. So when it comes to the packaging, great job getting it unbroken shipped, but I'm going to give that sort of an 8, because this box is just way too huge to handle for one person to handle, or to even store if you actually want to keep the box. And now when it comes to value, when you're talking about getting it shipped and getting it to the States, for example, this can be quite expensive to get. You may be looking at somewhere around $1,500 just to get it. Is it worth it? Absolutely is worth it. But again, I'm going to give that a 9 when it comes to value, because it is quite expensive to obtain. And that, my friend, will conclude my review and overview of Devilman vs. Amon statue by Figurama and sculpted by the incomparable Caleb Nefzen. And if you want to stay on top of the latest in the world of collecting, please head over to MCE Central. That's Marvel's Collectible and Entertainments, where you can see some of the coolest unboxings, reviews, pop hunts, you name it. Some really cool guests on that geek show. And you can also continue to check us out over at our Instagram page, YouTube page, Facebook groups, all of that kind of good social media stuff. And don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, StatueFanatic, as well. And you can also continue to check out more videos from me, a segment that I do collected on a budget, both here at StatueFanatic and over at MCE. So until next time, my friend, peace.